Whoopi Goldberg says DOGE should cut funding to SpaceX because the government already has NASA. By that logic, we should also cut The View since we already have Animal Planet. All right. Thank you. Let's do some stuff. So we all know the story of Robin Hood, stole from the rich, gave to the poor. He and his band of merry men hung out in the woods, eating apples and wearing tights. It was just like that summer I spent hiking with RFK. But now another guy with a funny accent wants to do the whole Robin Hood thing right here in America. Musk is considering a DOGE dividend, tax refund check sent to Americans funded by all the money DOGE is saving us. He's giving back the money that the useless stole from everyone else. Which makes me wonder if there's even under consideration a new concept where we give 20% of the DOGE savings to American citizens and 20% goes to paying down debt?
There's even under consideration a new concept where we give 20% of the DOGE savings to American citizens and 20% goes to paying down debt.
Like the sound of that, huh? Kind of makes sense. You know, now that we've taken back all that dough our corrupt government has been wasting, why not give it to the people who earned it in the first place? Finally, my assistant won't have to moonlight in that tire factory. And it's not like you'd be getting something for nothing. That money was taken out of every paycheck you earn to pay for scientists studying shrimp running on treadmills, workshops for Ecuadorian drag queens, creating superviruses in foreign labs, and of course, making animals trans. Hell, DOGE just discovered $2 billion in taxpayer funding for a nonprofit linked to Stacey Abrams. Yeah, a nonprofit that had $100 in revenue mysteriously got $2 billion from us, and it arrived a month after Abrams penned an op-ed endorsing Biden. Talk about a payoff. I haven't seen a bribe that obvious since Brit Hume paid me to keep quiet about his tramp stamp. And what has all that money done since then? Well, it definitely didn't go to dental work. Unfair. True, what Trump's doing just seems right. If the government has been stealing from you to pay off all these frauds, why shouldn't we steal it back? But was that the point of DOGE? DOGE was designed to confront a debt crisis that spells doom for this country. And it got that way because the government became a piggy bank for special interests and foreign cutouts. We also resented chipping into a leftist slush fund against our will every time we got paid. So now we want it to be our piggy bank. So much like J.B. Pritzker's pants, I'm torn. First, I want DOGE to continue on its amazing warpath, but I realize we need proper persuasion if you want the public to continue to support it over time. And promising thousands of dollars to Americans who've been cheated for years is a hard one to beat. I mean, the Dems are already floundering against DOGE, but DOGE plus a dividend? It'll be more popular than that mall tour I did with Menudo.
Yes.
So even if it may not solve the intended problem ASAP, it might end up preserving the mission long term. But it still nags me. We're $38 trillion in debt. How will this DOGE dividend solve that mountain of a crisis? So I guess you could say that I'm solidly, bravely on the fence. Because we're only a month into DOGE, and honestly, it's exhausting. I feel like every morning is the day after Halloween, and I wake up every morning to a bag of candy, and before breakfast, my face is already smeared with more chocolate kisses than that time I played Spin the Bottle with the Harlem Globetrotters.
Oh, my God.
Which makes me wonder, how long will the public support last when, as Trump once predicted, we grow tired of winning? Well, if there's a reward, the answer would be never. It's basically saying, hey, you've been with us so far, here's something that tied you along. Perhaps it's not exactly right. Right would be all the cuts go to preventing a full default on the debt. Otherwise, we'll face an economic crisis that would make the Depression look like a trip to Sandals with Trace Gallagher.
Oh.
Yum, yum. But while the dividend isn't right, it's persuasive. What we in the old days called a bribe. But in this case, the bribe isn't going to a bunch of greedy crooks. It's also not going to rich libs getting student loans canceled so they'd vote for a brain-dead president. It's going to you and your family as a reward for supporting a president who's unafraid to lead. And that's the problem with Robin Hood. He's not always right, but damn is he loved. Let's welcome tonight's guest. He has a holster for his blow driver. Co-host of Fox and Friends, Charlie Hurt. Blow dryer. Her name is Liz, and she'll give you the biz. Host of the Evening Edit on Fox Business, Liz McDonald. He was once the head of the PTA until they found out he didn't have kids. Comedian and host of the Jim Norton Can't Save You podcast, Jim Norton. And her mouth was once pulled over for speeding. Co-host of Outnumbered, Emily Capano. Charlie, as an astute political analyst and a new co-host of a very mediocre show.
Here it comes.
Can you do both? Can you cut the deficit, save this economy, and give a dividend?
Oh, I think without a doubt. I mean, and as you point out, it is our money, so why can't we have it back if they're wasting it on a bunch of nonsense? I think that this is the most consequential and important political fight we've had probably in a generation. And I think that, and one of the, just take the politics side of it, the fact that Democrats are forced to defend all of the things that this money is being spent on is, I think, hysterical and defines them. And it genuinely defines them. And my favorite is when they talk about something's a drop in the bucket. $14 million going to Trans Sesame Street in Africa is just a drop in the bucket. Well, for a regular taxpayer, they're sitting there going, wait a minute, I've worked my entire life and I've been taxed majorly for my entire life. And that's more than the total taxes I have paid. So all of my effort that I have put into this federal government, you're going to send to Africa for Trans Sesame Street. And that money can also be spent so much better on people in North Carolina, for example. And so I think that
I would not knock Trans Sesame Street. Ernie and Bert becoming Emma and Bertha. They were a hell of a couple. Trust me. I got the videos to prove it. Liz.
But spend your own millions on that.
And yes,
okay?
that is true. I should spend it myself. Liz, this DOGE is expected to expire on July 4th, 2026. I mean, is this possible that they're going to get all the work by then and we all get money back? It doesn't seem realistic to me. You tell me.
I think you're right. Honestly, I think they're going to keep going beyond July 26. And, you know, to spend half our paychecks in taxes and all this is blown out the back door and we're not supposed to say a peep about it, when we have military veterans who are homeless, we have people in North Carolina living in tents, we have LA fire victims homeless now. So what really got to me today was Democrat Jasmine Crockett saying, we're not in the business of sending back people's money when she's talking about the DOGE dividend. Wasn't she for reparations?
Yes.
And didn't DOGE just find out, yeah, you very much are in the business of, you know, giving out money and blowing it out the back door. I just find it astounding that we've been talking, all of us have been talking about this for generations, and the fact that now DOGE is finally doing it is breathtaking.
It is breathtaking. By the way, I don't mean to offend those with asthma by saying it's breathtaking. Jim.
Yes, Greg.
Jim, you have been an astute observer of economic policy going back since the Eisenhower administration.
Thank you, Greg.
When you look at DOGE, do you see an arena that you would like it to target, like corrupt brothels or corrupt prostitution rings or just corrupt prostitutes?
Well, Greg, I support all three of those things. And I know that I'm now going to have to spend money to buy the African Sesame Street set. Didn't know it was so good. Yeah, I love what they're doing. I love they're going to give some money back. Why not? I mean, because it's not like they're taking it and they're spending it all on really worthy causes and good things, and then they're taking from them. They waste it. We have no say in where it goes, and that's why people hate the government.
Yeah.
If you had some faith in the fact that, like, I don't want to be 45 or 50% partners with the U.S. government. So if I had faith in where the money was going, no one minds paying taxes to help a homeless person. No one minds.
Oh, I do, but go ahead.
Well, I was going to say help them out of the country, Greg.
Yes, thank you. Thank you. Help them into the loony bin.
Yeah, exactly. Help yourself to a job, bucko. But it's when it's the garbage that they do with it that you start to hate them. If it's worthy causes and people who, like, single mothers, like, I don't think people object to their money being spent that way.
Yeah, Emily, without going off topic on an unrelated 15-minute story.
Are you still upset over last night?
No, I'm not upset over last night. That was an amazing dessert. Please share us your thoughts on DOGE. I don't think anybody is hitting what I mean, which is like in 10 years, our country could be destroyed by debt. And that's what the whole point of DOGE was. It wasn't about giving us money, even though it is our money. What say you, Ms. Outnumbered?
Look, I am no economist, but I am a tax-paying American that hates the IRS. And I agree. I hear what you're saying, and I think that it's all separate arguments. So the most persuasive argument is that the bipartisan problem is the debt, and that the most screwed we are is the long-term looming debt situation, and no amount of like emptying the ocean with a bucket is going to do anything about it until DOGE. But the second point is that the political capital of actually having money in our pockets, that's priceless.
That's the persuasion.
Totally. Yeah. And so to me, I think that ironically, the amount of the debt is so much that it's worth saving a little bit of taking a little bit longer to get the political capital. And if you couple that with not having to pay as many taxes, then we ensure we make it past the midterms. We ensure that we're there for another 4 years after and then beyond. And we also ensure that this entire system of dismantling remains in place. Because at the end of the day, despite the $22 billion to Stacey Abrams and circumcisions and all the despite that, I worry that the dismantling can be somehow reconstructed. It takes time. Right now, we're just identifying where all of the toxic tumors lay. We're identifying how it's been untraceable and covered up and how corrupt the system is. It's going to take a minute, not only to root it out, but to set things right again. So I think buying that time is a good investment.
That is a great summation from our lawyer. From our lawyer on the panel, Emily Compagno. Before we go, a quick announcement. Tickets are now available for my live 2025 tour. I'll be in Indiana, Pennsylvania, Kentucky, Arizona, and Texas, just to name a few states. Go to ggutfeld.com for ticket info. Up next, the rep with the biggest belly is also the most smelly.